and welcome to Autism Live. I'm already playing with toys. Can you see? I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these amazing toys in just a few minutes. But good morning, I'm Shannon Penrod, a proud pony, parent of a neurodiverse individual. So thrilled to be back. It's our first show after the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States. And I just remembered to put my phone on Do Not Disturb because we've been off for a couple of days. But I'm having a really good time playing with sensory toys. So excited that you guys are here with us today because, oh, have we got an amazing resource for you today. Whoo, wait till you hear from our guest. She's going to be talking about the Global Autism Parenting Summit that's just coming up next week that you're going to want to go to, and wait till you hear how much it will cost you because it's free. I love when stuff is free, right? So we're going to be talking about that in just a couple of minutes, but I just want to remind everybody we're live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and about a dozen other sites, and we're hoping, excuse me, now I'm going to get a frog in my throat. We're hoping that you guys will participate during the live show, and you can do that by, Chris is showing you some of the different ways that you can write in right now or later in the show and ask questions of me or our guest. But we also want you to know that we know that the lion's share of you are listening in podcasts later on. You can still participate and ask questions as well. We are available wherever you download podcasts for free, and it is a free download. Excuse me. You will, if you are listening in podcasts, you will hear that there are some advertisements as you're listening. We hope that you celebrate that because they're paying for you to download it for free, because you know nothing's for free anymore. I don't know that it ever was. But so that's how we pay for you to be able to download it for free. Now, for those of you who really would rather listen to the podcast free of ads because you're on your exercise cycle or you're having a hike or in the car, we have a way for you to do that for a very low monthly cost. It's just $5 a month. You can go to glow.fm/autismlive, and when you pay $5 a month, you get everything that we do here at the Autism Network. That's Autism Live, the Parent to Parents, Ask Dr. Doreen, the Let's Talk Movies, everything that we do, including today's Hyperfixation, our newest podcast. You get that free of ads, and it comes directly to you. So hopefully you guys will, if that's your thing. Now, I love the fact that we have it for you for free as well. So I hope you'll check that out either way. Hey, I'm saying good morning to Rodney. And I'm also saying hello to Al-Marie. What a beautiful, beautiful name. She says, thanks for your educational channel. I refer this to my daughter, whose son had nonverbal autism. He's 6 years old now. Where can we get these toys? Well, I'm so glad you asked me that, because we have a toy guide, and it just came out a couple of weeks ago. Excuse me. Wow. The minute I start talking, the frog comes up, right? So if you go to autismnetwork.com, that really is the place to go. And if you'll see at the top that there is a place that says Toy Guide, and there are many things to choose from, right? But if you want to pick the overall 2024 guide, it says 2024 guide, and then from there you'll see that there are 6 different categories of ages. So it's baby, toddler, then it goes to preschool, then school age, then tween, teen, adult, and then there is a category for caregivers. And in each one of those age ranges, there are 18 toy awards for different things. There's sensory toys, motor toys, toys that build speech, the employment empowerment toy, because it builds job skills. Even for babies, there are toys that build job skills. So we hope you'll check it out. And then underneath, some of the toys have a video that we shot of me playing with the toys and talking about the toy. Excuse me. All of the toys, though, have a section where it has a quote from myself or some of the other judges about what we loved about the toy. And every toy has a button where you can purchase the toy. Now, some of those go directly to Amazon, and Autism Network, Autism Live, has an Amazon storefront where, just to make it easier for you guys, it does mean that we get a little portion of the sale. Want to be completely open about that. But we we've done this for years. We just added that part because it was easier for you guys, and it meant that it helps keep the lights on. So, but you can buy the toy other places as well, just directly on Amazon or directly from the toy maker. And some places we have that link on for you. I am playing right now with some amazing toys. So one of the toy winners that won in several different categories were a series of toys from a company called Scheiling. And can I just tell you, I just want to take a moment and talk about this amazing toy company and the many things that they do. You probably would have heard of them before because they make Thomas the Tank Engine toys, right? How much do all of our kids love Thomas the Tank? But they also have a line of sensory toys that are so fabulous that they won several awards in our toy guide. And then they were awesome and sent me some additional toys because they saw how much I love these toys. This is a lot of these, in fact, all of these that were toy winners in our guide this year come from a division of Scheiling called Nido. So these are Nido noodles. And you can see it comes, I don't know, because we're on the green screen today and there's some green in it. But they come in this handy dandy little, it looks like a Chinese takeout. And you get an array of noodles. And there's a green one too that won't show up. It'll look like black. But I have had so much fun with these. I would have, if I were a kid and I had longer hair, I would be using these in my hair. I would make them into ponytail holders. But I have had so much fun just stretching and twanging them. If you twang them, they make a little sound, and that's deeply pleasurable for me. But I've also had fun braiding them. And it's so interesting how kids will play with a sensory toy, but I love watching adults play with a sensory toy too, and to see all of the things that we will do with them. So this is the noodles. I've had so much fun with them. I can't help myself. One of the toys that we featured, this was in the caregiver category. This is the color changing Nido. I love it. Squeeze it and it changes colors. But they have so many different textures. A big fan favorite around here, and our producer totally loved these to death, literally. It's a little package of, these are called Teeny Nido Cool Cats, and there's 3 to a package, and they come in different colors, so you can pick the colors you want. And they're little kitties. I don't know if you can tell. They got a little kitty face, and they have a little kitty tail, and they are just infinitely squishable. And I love that you can share them with a friend. So those were a big fan favorite. Love this. Do you know that they have determined, they have phenotyped autism. There are at least 17 different subtypes of autism. And one of the subtypes of autism have difficulty with eye coordination, which means that catching a ball is a little bit harder, but that means riding a bike will be harder, reading will be harder, anything that involves that hand-eye coordination. So why am I telling you this? Well, what they've learned is if you go back to catching the ball, if you work a little bit longer and make it a little bit more fun catching a ball, then the rest of those skills have an easier time. So I always recommend a ball like this that has grooves in it. This ball is actually called, and they have different kinds of grooves. This is Nido Ripples. Woo! And it's wonderful. This is easier for a child to grip. It's more rewarding for them to grip. So you get them this, have fun playing with this, and you're actually, for kiddos in that subtype, you're actually helping them with all of their hand-eye coordination, which will help with everything, including driving a car later on. Yeah, it's that amazing. Oh, this is a fan favorite. This is the Nido Gummy Bear, and it looks just, that one, it's looking black, but it looks like a gummy bear, but he's stretchable. And so you can wudger him, and he snaps back into shape. Love him. We showed you the Nido Nice Cube. I'm throwing things around now. Remember, these are from Scheiling. I just love these. This is the Nido Nice Cube, and it comes in the shape of a cube, lots of different colors. But for those of you who are old enough to remember Stretch Armstrong, oh, it's such a good time. You can pull on this. You can do all kinds of things to it, and give it a minute, and it will go right back to being an ice cube. It's like a magic trick. I love it. If you like something really soft and squishy, I love this. This is the Nito the Groovy Glob, and it comes in different colors. It's a little bit softer than the color change one. Just super fabulous. What am I forgetting here? Oh, the new one, the glow in the dark. They sent these the other day. For you, if you're kiddos who are afraid of the dark, I want you to notice this is back into being a cube. I'm going to put it down. This is the glow in the dark, and this is the softest. I got to tell you, so many of our staff have fallen in love with this one just because it's just very, very soft. And if we were to turn out the lights, it would glow so very cool. And then two more here. This is the gumdrop, and it's got little nubbies on it. So it's an entirely different texture. But again, it's that squishable, and no matter what I do to it, it's going to go back to a gumdrop. I mean, I could sit and squish this all day. Now, why? Why are these toys good? And I've got one more. Because there's something meditative about it. There's something satisfying. There's a sensory component to it that, this is the marble, you guys. This is the Nito marbles with a Z. And they come in different, when you squish it, it'll come up clear. Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. And you can see your fingers through it, really cool. So we all need an outlet for physical things. So, why do runners run? Because it releases endorphins and it helps to get the yayas out, right? If you know anybody who runs, make a couple of days where they can't run, and they start to have a buildup of anxiety. So there's a certain amount of physical input that we all need. It just depends on what you need and how you need it. So, and need it, literally, needing it, neato. So I love these toys for our kiddos. You want the perfect stocking stuffer for a kiddo, a teen, an adult. Really, there is no age limit on who would love these. They are all 3 and up, though, not for babies. But totally wonderful. Put these, they're so well priced, too. I have to say, Shiling, I love that you've made these very affordable. Put an array of these in your stockings, and it's a good time, my friends. Helps reduce the stress, helps to build focus, helps to release the yayas. It's very personal, though, what you like. I love to watch around the office who falls in love with what. Chris, our producer, has absolutely loved the cool cats. Loved them to death. Okay, so anyway, you can check out, and we're going to show you a promo for the toy guide. I did things out of order, but since you asked about the toys, there we go. Okay, let's do a little jargon of the day, then we'll talk briefly about the toy guide again, and then we've got an amazing guest today. So, jargon of the day, we do this because there are too many terms and they're hard to learn, and sometimes it's easy to think you know it, and then it can get you thrown off. So we've been doing this for many a year. Now we're allowing AI definitions as part of it as well. So today's jargon is errorless learning. I remember the first time I heard this, and I was like, "What, errorless learning? You mean you're giving them the answers?" Kind of, really. So let's take a look and see. Errorless learning was an instructional design introduced by psychologist Charles Furster in the 1950s as part of his studies on what would make the most effective learning environment. B.F. Skinner was also influential in developing the technique, noting that errors are not necessary for learning to occur. So there's from Wikipedia. I don't know. I didn't know it was Charles Furster. I don't know if that interests you at all. But I like this idea of what's the most effective learning environment, right? Because don't we all want to know that for ourselves and for anybody in our life that we're hoping to learn something? And I'm not a fan of B.F. Skinner. Can I just say that? Not a fan of B.F. For various and sundry reasons. That's a whole other show. Watch the Temple Grandin show where she talks about B.F. He's not a friend of mine. But he did do some important work in science that informed a lot about how we teach. And I do appreciate this quote that errors are not necessary for learning to occur. Like, what a mindset that is. You don't have to fail to learn. I don't know about you, but I was not raised that way. I was raised with a try, 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 and you'll get it, which is useful also. But the idea that, oh, somebody doesn't have to fail to learn, pretty powerful. I like that. Let's move on to our working definition. So errorless learning is a teaching method that ensures that the learner gets the correct answer and thus experiences meaningful reinforcement. That's really what this is about. If we're trying to create a fair environment, and we talk about how it has to be fun and it has to be fair all the time here on the show. So if it's fun and it's fair, that means I'm getting something out of it. And if I go to do something really hard, there's so many things that are hard for me, but let's just talk about math, right? Let's do trigonometry, because, right? I don't want to do trigonometry, right? But if I needed to learn trigonometry for an important reason, that in order for it to be fair, we would have to set up a circumstance where I knew that it was going to be fun and that I personally was going to get something out of it, right? And that would be true for any of us if we're going to learn anything difficult. So how do we do that? Because if it becomes that conundrum of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. And if I need to teach you something, but I need to teach you that it's going to be fun and rewarding, how do I get there? How do I crack that egg open, right, so that you can see? Well, we start by doing something where we give the answer. We give the answer and reward the person for getting it right. So, for instance, what we might see is that it looks weird. I got to be honest with you. As a parent and as a former teacher, when I first was seeing this, I was like, I don't know. So let's say that I was teaching the word ball. And so my hand is the table, right? And I would put the ball on the table and I would say to the child, touch ball, right? Which sounds weird, but I'm keeping it as few words as possible. So the only thing I'm teaching here is touch and ball. And if the child sits there, I'm going to guide their hand over, have them touch the ball, and I'm going to go, good job. Well, I helped them, but they still got it right. Then I can say touch ball. And if I'm making it rewarding enough by saying good job, by giving a meaningful reward, not just praise, but some kids like a hug or a squeeze or, other kids, other things, right? But if I'm teaching touch ball and I guide their hand over and all there is a ball, I'm beginning to teach touch ball. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Because later on, I'm going to have other things there as well. And I'm going to say, touch ball, and they have to discriminate between which one is the ball, which one is the string, and which one is the kitty, right? And they're going to get it right, and they're going to get a reward. But I can't teach that until they begin to know. And they can't begin to learn and begin to know unless I have made it rewarding for them. So, yeah, we give them the answer. And listen, we don't just do this in ABA. Way before I had a child who was on the spectrum, I was a teacher, and I was constantly learning about, what has science shown us to be the more effective way to teach. And one of the things that we were doing, I don't know if they're still doing it in the classroom, but before we were going to teach any concept at all, let's say that one of the things that I had to teach was Romeo and Juliet, right? So before we taught Romeo and Juliet, before we ever cracked the book open for Romeo and Juliet, we would give a quiz. What do you know about Romeo and Juliet? And we would do it in an interactive way so that people could guess the answer. It was multiple choice, and they could guess, and they got big rewards if they got it right, not knowing it. They're guessing, right? But we made it fun for them, and it gave us a diving off point then to go work on Romeo and Juliet. Doing a pre-test, right? And people do it all the time with spelling. Third grade, they give the spelling test, they give the pre-test first, and any one of the words that you get right, you don't have to write that one 5 times, right? You just have to do it again on the test on Friday. So that's all part of errorless learning. We're making it fun, we're making it fair, we're not forcing them to learn it before they get the reward. We're teaching them, you're learning, you're going to get the reward, and then through the process of that, they begin to learn it. It's a pretty exciting thing. Hello, Autism Journey with Elijah. I did have a good Thanksgiving, but we ran around like chickens with our heads cut off, and so I did not get to see the live. How did it go? I wanna know how because you were making the turkey cookies, right? I really wanted to see that. And then we're saying hi to Barbara. I'm doing good. How's everybody else doing today? All to the good. Okay, so I want to take a second here. I mentioned the toy guide. You guys can go to autismnetwork.com. Chris has made a lovely video. We're going to watch that very briefly. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about how you can get your free ticket to go to the Global Autism Parenting Summit, which is coming up next week. Believe me, you're going to want a front seat. So first watch the toy guide, and then we'll be back with my guest.
The wait is over. All month from now until the new year, join Shannon for Autism Live's 2024 Toy Guide Review. Shannon will break down the award-winning toys in multiple age groups, where to buy them, and how your purchase can help the Autism Network continue to provide information and inspiration to families this holiday season.
Welcome back, you guys. I am so excited about this Global Autism Parenting Summit. As excited as I am to welcome for the first time our guest today, who is the host and co-producer for that event. I'm going to try really hard not to slaughter her name, but it's Spela Repovs, I think is close, somewhere in the neighborhood. She is the editor-in-chief of Strategic Parenting, as I said, the host and co-producer of the Global Autism Parenting Summit 2024. And she also was the host and co-producer for two other events that happened recently, the ADHD Parenting Summit and Empowering Parents Summit. What an amazing person. We're welcoming her to the show today. Spela, we're so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me, Shannon. Hey.
Would help if I put my earbud back in. There we go. Now I've got you. Now I can hear you. Spela, I want you to talk with our families about this amazing event. I want you to tell our viewers what the Global Autism Parenting Summit is, when it is, and how parents can register today.
Sure. So the Global Autism Parenting Summit is an online event made for parents, caregivers, teachers, who are seeking new, effective, lasting solutions for their kids. The summit features over 25 experts and authentic voices from the field of autism. It will air on Monday, so it airs between December 9th and December 13th. And like you said, probably the best part of it is that it's completely free to sign up for. So all that really listeners have to do is to go on our website and register. It really only takes about a minute or so.
And not only that, my understanding is when they register, they get a free gift. Talk to us about that.
True. Yeah. Right after the registration, you instantly receive a free gift. It's an ebook called Preventing Parental Burnout Guide. And it really includes 10 strategies to help parents spot and really stop parents, from their emotional exhaustion before it actually takes over their lives. Parents out there really know how tough it is to take care of their kids 24/7. And at some point, it feels like, you have no time, no space just to actually be you. So it all adds up in ways that most people cannot even imagine. And that's why, I think it's essential why we wanted to create this ebook to give them straightforward, easy to follow strategies that can actually make their life a bit more easy.
Well, absolutely amazing. What I think, Chris, do you have the website? And Spela, maybe if you can say where they need to go to register and to get their free ebook.
Sure. It's autism for summit.strategicparenting.com. I think you'll share the straight link to that, right?
I think we have that. It is definitely in the comments too on the video. I know because we put it there. But we'll have that up for you guys in just a second. So you want to go You want to register. Again, it's free. I know that that is mind-boggling to everybody because we're not used to something being free, but it is, and it's absolutely amazing. We're going to talk about some of the guests that you have. I'm amazed. But what was the inspiration for this event?
Well, really, when we started out, we were at first just helping parents with general parenting challenges like getting kids to listen, stop yelling, setting boundaries, or managing screen time, etc. But through our conversations with parents in our community, we noticed new issues that, weren't even talked about like 10, 20, 30 years ago. So there was this significant rise in children's mental health issues such as anxiety, low self-esteem, depression. And we also noticed that more and more parents recognize their kids to have ADHD and autism. And while we know these challenges are on a steep rise, we saw a gap in reliable and practical advice for parents. So this actually first led us to organize our first ADHD Parenting Summit. And after an absolutely overwhelming response and seeing how helpful the expert insights were for parents, we decided to create the Autism Parenting Summit as well. So it's really one goal. We want to connect parents with expert knowledge so they can use it in their daily lives.
It's a beautiful thing. Now, there's 3 different days, and each day you have a different focus. Talk to us a little bit about that and some of the speakers that will be on the different days to speak to that very particular topic of the day.
Well, as I said, we have over 25, so I'm not going to mention all of them because I'm going to, take all of your time on air. But we designed this summit to talk about what we think matters most to parents. So on day 1, we'll dive into helping parents thrive as their kids transition to adulthood. And this will be much more than just a series of talks about managing big changes. In fact, we've lined up some incredible experts to teach parents how to strengthen their family bonds while also taking great care of themselves. So, for instance, we have Elaine Taylor-Klaus, who with her deep understanding of autism, both as a mother of a child with autism and a parenting expert, offers really valuable advice on almost any parenting topic you can think of. She's absolutely brilliant, and I'm sure the folks will love her. We also have the viral mother-daughter duo, Christina and Abby Romero.
Yeah.
In the most inspiring way, they share how any parent can really become the ultimate lifeline that their kids need.
Yeah, you guys have seen them on Love on the Spectrum. We've had them on our show. They're
everywhere.
They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing, and I love Abby. She is just a force, and her mom. Fun thing, I didn't realize. I knew Abby in the autism community, and I met her on many occasions. I didn't realize that I had met her mom like 30 years before. Her mom had been dating somebody that I went to graduate school with. We didn't know until way later that we had known each other all those years before, when neither one of us had a thought in our head of having children. It was just a kismet, very small. But I love them, love that you're having them on, because as you said, it's those authentic voices. But go ahead, I interrupted you.
No worries. I like, it's amazing what you share. And then maybe I'll mention Maria Davis-Pierre and her husband, Dr. Barry Pierre, a passionate medical couple who share deeply personal and powerful story of how them as parents, they've been, they have really been each other's biggest supporters through their child's autism diagnosis. So this is day 1.
Day 1. That's a pretty big day already.
It is.
And we didn't cover all the speakers. Then day 2, what's happening day 2?
On the next day, we'll feature unfiltered and raw stories of parents who really changed their kids' lives by taking action before the diagnosis even came. We'll dive into the power of advocacy for autistic rights with inspiring strategies from parents who've learned extraordinary things against all odds. On this day, parents will hear from parent Dr. Mary Barbera, who has made an incredible journey from, knowing almost nothing about autism to becoming a doctoral level board certified behavioral analyst. Then we'll also explore why emotional well-being should come first in autism care, above all else. And we feature Paul Mikhailov, who's built a massive audience on YouTube with his powerful approach. You probably know him. And of course, we had to hear from powerful advocates like Amber Arrington, who fought for everything her kids, on the spectrum really needed in a system that really isn't built with them in mind. So that's day 2.
Amazing, and I love Dr. Mary Barbera. We've featured her before on the show. I love her common sense approach to everything. Absolutely, but I love all of the speakers that you're having. But then that's not all. Then you have day 3.
Yes. Here I just wanted to add that we've spent months searching for the right experts, like we've already discussed, those who are really laser focused on specific areas like sleep, potty training, speech, nutrition, sensory needs, and stuff like that. And that's why the last day of the summit, we got into the issues parents care about the most, but hardly, ever get help with. So we've interviewed experts like Dr. Wendy Ross, an amazing developmental pediatrician whose expertise is rare. And I have to say that, we desperately need more specialists like her to fill in the gaps in the autism services. And we've also have Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown, Ivy League trained sleep medicine physician, who'll share tips on how to handle the unpredictable sleep cycles that often come, as we know, with autism. And before I forget, speech delays are on the agenda as well. We've got Ming Fung and a couple of others. He's a top expert in communication development who will clear up all the confusion around milestone timing and other things around speech delays.
It's an impressive list of people, and I have to say, Dr. Doreen Grant-Pichet, who our viewers know from Ask Dr. Doreen, she is one of the speakers. I don't know which day she is on. Do you know off the top of your head?
I think it's day 2.
I think you might be right. And then for some reason, I'm included in this group. And I have to say, you guys, I said this to Spela before. We recorded our interview a couple of weeks ago, and she's the best interviewer I have ever had the pleasure to work with. You asked questions that nobody else has ever asked before that I thought were just on the money. I was so humbled because I interview people all the time. And I said to her, I was like, you're so much better at this than I am. And you are. So I can't wait to see the other interviews. But I was included, and I count myself very lucky to be included with all. And we didn't mention Dr. Temple Grandin is also on your list as well.
Yeah, she is. She is an amazing session with her. And I'll explain furthermore. We really wanted to include both, like parents, like also the authentic voices in autism. Like I'm sure you already know.
Well, I actually have a question later about that, but I'm gonna leave that for just a second, because while we're talking about these summits, you are part of something called strategic parenting. And you guys have really made an amazing commitment to getting good info to parents and doing it for free. I'm humbled by it. I would love to know, because you mentioned briefly there was the empowering parents and the ADHD parenting. What kind of response are you guys getting? These are really global summits. What has been the response to them?
Well, the response was really, we couldn't imagine, not even close, because the Empowered Parent Summit was one of the first that we did. It was in April this year. We hosted 48 speakers, and they covered all different topics. But we had over 100,000 registered participants. And of course, considering the great feedback that we received from multiple parents and caregivers and teachers, we are now currently preparing a new edition that airs in January 13th next year.
Wow. You guys are moving and shaking. I don't know how you're doing it, but I'm so glad that you are. I saw too that in your work, you've been working very closely with someone named, and I'm going to slaughter his name, Marco Johant. Is that correct?
Juhant.
Okay. I am not as familiar with his work, and our viewers here in the States may not be as familiar, but there are people in Europe very familiar with his work. Talk to us a little bit about him and what the mission of the strategic parenting is alongside him and his work.
So Marco Juhant is a brilliant man. He's a parenting coach and a best-selling author. He has over 40 years of experience in parenting. And he really worked with tens of thousands of Slovenian parents to help them raise their kids. And his work is widely recognizable here in Slovenia. He wrote 16 parenting books, and I believe it's quite remarkable to say that almost half of all parents here in our country used his principle when raising their kids. So for the past 4 years, I had the pleasure and honor of working closely with him. And we have, together with my amazing team, we have digitalized all of his proven parenting strategies to make them available really to any parents in need around the world.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So how did the strategic parenting come to be? What happened that made this all come to fruition?
Right. Well, it's really because of Marco. We had all of this vast knowledge of his, about every single parenting challenge you can possibly imagine. And it was just sitting there, and we knew that his methods are practical, that they work well. So we thought it would be kind of a shame not more people get to hear about them. So we wanted to reach out beyond our borders, beyond the borders of Slovenia, Europe, etc., and got to translate all of this content to be able to reach parents all over the world. So today, his knowledge is available in English, of course, and 7 other languages, I think 7 or 8. But after that, we just really wanted to offer additional approaches, practical stuff, and different points of view on the parenting challenges. So since that, we also joined forces with world-renowned parenting experts such as Elaine Taylor-Klaus and Diane Damster, Jennifer Polari, Deborah McPhillamy, Farida Shahid, and others. And we just continue to stay in touch with the latest researchers and offer as much as we can a variety of content to this beautiful community of parents that we have.
I love it. And there's such a great mix of speakers that you have. You have Eileen Lamb, who I have been dying to meet. I follow her on Facebook, and I was like, look, Eileen Lamb is going to be at this thing. So I'm deeply curious. No, we all fangirl and geek out over different people, but you have everything under the sun, which I really love. But getting back to those authentic voices, because it's called the Global Autism Parenting Summit. And I'm very fond of saying that I love self-advocates because I do, but I often say, but they don't always like me. Because sometimes the parenting agenda is seen as being different, and sometimes it is different than the self-advocate journey and the mission and the point of view. I think they're both incredibly valid. That I always say that saying that a self-advocate, and what their wants and needs are, that's really important to listen to, but it shouldn't in any way diminish what a parent's wants and needs are. They should be able to be different and exist in the same place. But sometimes it's hard when you're doing an event like this, and we've seen that you're making room for the authentic voices. How are you balancing it to be mindful of this sort of hornet's nest?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it has been mind-boggling for a while. But when we were doing our research for the Global Autism Parenting Summit, we noticed this tension between, what parents need and what advocates want. And parents out there are, they're in the trenches. They're really fighting the systems, trying to get the best for their kids. And on the other hand, the self-advocates, where they're trying, just live that experience every day and focusing on independence and pushing for changes in society. But like you said, instead of seeing these as two opposing views, we realized how incredibly beautiful these perspectives can actually complement each other. And that's why we made it a priority to bring in authentic autistic voices and parents who've been through thick and thin for their kids. So for this reason, we've included self-advocates in the summit, such as Paul Mikulev, Abby Romero, and of course, you mentioned the wonderful Dr. Temple Grandin.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of parents who had shared their perspective on that, such as the remarkable lady right in front of me. Shannon and I really appreciated our session. We were one of my favorites, and I cannot wait for people to see that. It's great. And then also moms like Elaine Taylor-Klaus, Dr. Mary Barbera, Christine Romero that you mentioned. And then also two brilliant ladies who combine, in my opinion, the best of both worlds. Eileen Lamb, you mentioned her, and Sarah Hendricks, who both raise kids with autism and are on the spectrum themselves. So what we really want is for parents to hear directly from self-advocates and at the same time help self-advocates understand that about the real struggles that parents face at the same time. So
beautiful.
At the end of the day, I think the goal would be to really bridge that gap. We want to create a space where both groups can really understand each other, they can work together and build a supportive environment for the people they really love the most and who need it the most.
Absolutely. Kids. I think it's beautiful how you're doing it. I really, really do. What do you think, if you just had to pick one or two things that were your hope for parents when they walk away from the summit, what will be the thing that they have gotten from it in your hopes and dreams?
Well, probably a couple of things, but firstly, I hope everyone learns something new. I mean, no matter how far along they are on their autism parenting journey, something new that will, make their life, their parenting a bit easier. And probably I want parents to gain new perspectives through our diverse group of speakers. Like you said, there's so many different souls out there. To see actually autism through different eyes and to better understand their kids. And probably third and really most important thing, that we're creating a little private community of parents, a place they can connect with each other, share experience, and, find help when they need it.
So I never like to leave an interview without asking someone, what inspires you to do this work? Because you have got to be working long hours to be putting together the summits that you're putting together. So what's the driving force for you?
Thanks for appreciating that. Well, what I personally love most about our work is probably the incredible impact, the impact that it has on parents. Helping them feel inspired, joyful again, excited about their parenting, really. Because, some of the parents are struggling for years, and they're overwhelmed, and they're stressed out, and they're kind of lost and alone. But then they come across an advice that kind of speaks to them. So it could be Marco's ebook, it could be an expert in the summit, or a parent, in the community, and something speaks to them, and they learn a new strategy, a new point of view, a new way of dealing with their huge challenges. And then they write to us and they tell us that it was life-changing experience, and that they wish someone gave them some answers like this years ago. So that's really the best part, and that's why we're so passionate about what we do and how we do it. It's the parents and the impact that we have.
Amazing. And obviously, you've done this for free, and which is just mammoth. I always, in the early days when my son was diagnosed, I would look for something like this, right? And it didn't exist. And it's part of the inspiration for this show was because I couldn't get to some of the events and conferences and summits that people were having, and I felt like I was missing out because of that. And I remember looking at events and going, how are people how are they paying for it? Who's taking care of their child? How are they paying for the travel to get to where these things are? It was just outside the realm of what I could do in that moment. So I think it's so key. I know because we try to make our content free, and there's no such thing as free. Are there any sponsors that you want to give a shout out to that are making this possible that we can, say, and I didn't ask you about this beforehand, but is there anybody we want to shout out to for helping to make this kind of thing possible?
We do not have any sponsors. We finance everything on our own. So yeah, it's really all about our team who are making this possible with, like you said, a lot of long hours and a lot of work. But of course, a lot of parents who are getting the upgrade, the VIP pass, are contributing to making this possible, because that's how we help with our financing of the promotion.
So it's free to attend, but there's an upgrade, a VIP pass. I didn't know about this. Tell me everything I need to know.
Sure. So there's a VIP pass that you can upgrade right after you register, and it gets you the unlimited access to all of the sessions. It gets you also a workbook, audio version of it, transcriptions, subtitles, and a bunch of other things, a couple of bonuses that really help parents to get everything they've heard along the summit to get quicker into the practice.
I love this. That's wonderful. So once you register, you're going to get your free ebook,
Yep.
but then you're given the opportunity that if you want to upgrade, that you can, which is a wonderful thing because you have a choice, but you're not left out of it if you decide that you don't want to upgrade. You still have a free ticket to be able to listen to the things. But I imagine that it's on a schedule and you have to be available when it's airing, correct?
Exactly, yeah. It will air on Monday through Thursday, so 3 days, and everything airs. The first day airs for 24 hours, and the next one as well. So it's all in those 3 days.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So you mentioned, just because we have a couple of more minutes, you mentioned that you're already planning for another one in January. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, it's another one of the Empowered Parent Summit. We're going to have close to 40 speakers again. We're super excited to get them on board again. And this so far, besides the ADHD Parenting Summit, was one of our biggest. So we're gonna have a couple of different topics that we're gonna go around, but we really are going live on Monday. So we're gonna start with the promo, so I'm sure everybody will hear about it soon enough.
And then are you just going to do these every couple of months? Is this going to be a quarterly thing from you guys? What should we plan?
Well, the desire is that since we're really making so much impact on parents, we want to do as much as possible. So Now we're currently doing huge research on what parents also need. So we're going to have a couple of more summits coming in 2025. Most of them, of course, in the parenting niche, and others, of course, to support parents on different topics. So I'm super excited on that because it's not even well planned, but you know, it's out there. It's going to happen.
Absolutely amazing. I have so much respect for what you're doing and how you're doing it. Really, truly, because we try, you know, here, we do our thing here. And a couple of times we did 2 years ago, we did something called the Podcast-a-thon where we were live. We stayed live for, was it 45 hours on the air? And then we would kind of throw the feed, like for instance, we threw the feed for 1 hour to Dr. Mary Barbera. So she would sort of take it over for that hour. It was such a scheduling nightmare. I don't even know how you do what you're doing. And after that, now people have said, are you going to do the podcast-a-thon again? No, we're not doing the podcast-a-thon again because it was so great. We loved it, but it's a lot of work. So much respect for everything that you're doing and the impact that you're making. I just love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, like I said, it's a lot of work, but at the end of the day, it pays off, you know, and I get to speak to you for the second time already. So it's a huge honor. It's a huge honor. I love it.
Let's go ahead and, Chris, if you don't mind, if we can put back up the link of where people can go. Oh, look at that. That was a cool effect. I liked that. So here it is, autism-summit.strategicparenting.com, you guys. It's online. It's free. It will start on Monday. Now, there's quite a time difference. I'm on the, the West Coast in the United States. And so it's a much different time zone. What time of day is it starting around the world?
So it's 9 a.m. Eastern.
Okay.
3 p.m. Central European, and 11 p.m. And 11 p.m. What is it? I don't know.
Is that okay? Well, we'll do the math on that.
Yeah, it's 9 a.m. Eastern. So
Okay.
if they go to online and to dateful.com, they just can check their own time zone easily.
Okay. And remember, it's free to register, and you get that free gift. You have the choice to upgrade to a VIP if that's something that you want to do and help support the event because that's no small thing. Did we leave anything out?
I don't think so. We covered a lot. I mean, there's everything they need to know is on the page. So if they hop on, I'm sure they'll find it. If not, they can easily send us an email at autism@strategicparenting.com, and we'll gladly help them out. It's no worries, really.
Well, I just want to say thank you for doing this work. I can so understand why somebody would say to you, I wish this had been around years ago, because it would have been exactly what I was looking for when my son was 3. And people were telling me, you're going to have to go take college classes to learn stuff about how to help him. I couldn't do that. Where was he going to be when I was doing that? I went to the library, checked out every book I could check out, but I needed this kind of help, and it didn't exist. So I'm grateful to you for being the amazing tour de force that you are for making this happen, and for not making it just a one-off, to having these continue. It's really remarkable.
Thank you, Shannon. And like I said, it means so much coming from you, because you were in those trenches. You were fighting along for yourself and your son, and you know it really means a lot. I appreciate your words. I'm honored.
Well, I appreciate you, and I love the way that you're looking at it, because I think sometimes we do talk about how hard it is as parents, right? And I always like to remind all of our friends who are themselves on the spectrum, it's not hard because of you. It's not hard because of our kids. Our kids are amazing. As you just said, it's hard because we have to be able to connect to the things that will help our kids. And when you care deeply and passionately about somebody, and they need something, The pressure to not mess it up is huge. The fight that you fight to be able to get them what they need is huge. So that's the hard part. Just reminding all of you who are listening who identify as being neurodiverse or neurodivergent or on the spectrum or autistic, you are not the thing that's making it hard. It's being able to connect to the resources. So, Spela, for you, giving parents a place to get all those resources in one place and to get it online for free, it's huge. That's a great reduction in stress. Really very, very amazing. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being such a wonderful interviewee, but also thank you for being such a wonderful, wonderful interviewer. I can't wait to see you interview all these other people because I know how much fun it was to be interviewed by you. You're remarkable.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure again speaking to you. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
You have a wonderful evening. We're still in the morning here, but you're already in the evening.
Yep.
I hope you enjoy your evening.
Yep.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care, Shannon. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye. I just want to acknowledge, hi to Rosie. Hi, Rosie. So thrilled that you're here. An Autism Journey with Elijah. I've seen a picture of exactly what you're talking about with the pretzel sticks and the mini Rice Krispies and the marshmallows to make it look like a turkey leg. I've seen them, but I wanted to see you guys do it. And she says, and you glue it all together with melted chocolate or frosting. One of my favorite things, what's the show? Is it Nailed It? The show where they show all the things that you can make on Pinterest, and then they show people trying to do it and how it turns out. And sometimes people get it. Sometimes people absolutely get it. And other times that we don't, right? I'm guilty of that. So I wanted to see your turkey legs. I'm going to have to see if I can see a picture. And I also wanted to acknowledge that you said my son is 7, and sometimes I feel we're already at age 17. I think that's so normal. I think that's how everybody feels. I got to be honest, as I look back, there are different gates and different times in parenting. And, certainly there's the younger years before school starts, and that's its own particular, like there are tough things that have to be negotiated with that. But then when you're in the school years, especially 7 or 8, I remember that as being a specifically poignant time because you've made some progress maybe, but there's so much more and you're like, I'm running out of time, although you're not, but it feels that way because you can feel the hormones in the teenage years coming and you want to get as much done before that time so that your child has an easier go of it during that time. I don't know that it ever, I remember thinking, oh, we just get to the next phase and it'll be easier. Or we just get to the next phase and it'll be easier. Things are always presenting themselves. There's always challenges. I mean, my kid's a senior in college, and if you could have told me when he was 7 that my biggest thing right now would be, all the writing projects he has to get done in the next 2 weeks that are like, I'm sitting and watching going, but I'm sure, and I keep daydreaming about next year when he's done with college. But then I'm sure there will be work things and there will be relationship things. There's always something, right? Because that's what it means to be a mom. And for our kids especially, there's some extra hurdles that we're hoping and watching and teaching and gathering resources to get them over this hurdle, around that one, through this one, under this one, whatever it is. But I acknowledge that it's hard. It's hard. And sometimes watching them struggle is the hardest of all things, yeah? I'm sending everybody a hug. That's really our show today. Do check out Shiling Toys, these sensory toys. You can find them on Amazon. They also have a website, Shiling.com, and let me spell Shiling for you so that I don't get it wrong. SCHYLLING. You can also find a lot of these toys on our toy guide and just click on the link to be able to buy them. But they have their own store on Amazon filled with really amazing things. They're sensory fun, you guys. I really, really love them. All right, so that's Shiling. Check them out. Hey, we're back tomorrow with Dr. Grampichet. for Ask Dr. Doreen, and there's only a couple more of those left to the end of the year. So I encourage you. Whoop! I just threw one. Now I'll move on to the next one. Did you notice I had to put them down for the interview because I didn't want to be playing with them for the interview? I love this. You can see into the glow in dark one, and it looks like it's clouds. Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, I get distracted. And these are my new favorite thing. Gotta love these. I just want to slingshot it. Yeah, too much fun. Okay, so Shiling, check it out. Put it in your Amazon search, and you'll be able to find really cool, wonderfully priced. Gotta love the Ripples balls. If you have a kiddo that's struggling with eye issues, I encourage you, get one of these balls. Practice maybe rolling it and catching it before you do it up in the air, catching it. But the ripples make it easier to catch, and they're squishy reinforcing. All right, you guys, we will be back with Ask Dr. Doreen tomorrow. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. It looks like a brain. Bye-bye for now. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.